Ohio State's playbook under new coordinator Arthur Smith is the best offense in college football 27 this year, and the top players are abusing it for a reason. So, today I'll show you the best plays, the easiest setups, and the audibles you'll need to dominate online and get easy yards and points. I've put the PlayStation and Xbox audibles for every single play on the screen, so all you have to do is screenshot this and save this in your photos to learn the playbook. So, let's get into it. All right, first up, we have bunch X nasty. This is just one of the many good formations in this playbook at a shotgun. Do make sure before going in that you switch. You see on the bottom there with your stick, it says tight end slot. For some reason, this game's base formation of X nasty is with a tight end in. So you have two tight ends on the field. If you just click right stick to the right once, it does a wide receiver swap, bringing in your slot receiver, I believe. So with that said, these are my four audibles. But again, this is entirely up to you. I just like having, you obviously have to have at least one run. I like keeping an RPO in just for short yardage. And then these are the two plays I build my offense out of, just primarily. We have a short pass play here, and this one's more of airing it out down the field. But again, there's just a lot of options in this and a lot of plays to choose from. So I recommend favoriting most of these if you run this formation a lot. Okay, so the first play we're going to learn is this motion cross post. So the setup is pretty simple. There's just three adjustments. You put X on a drag, RB on a corner, and A on a streak. And what you're really doing here is you're keeping the motion in to throw off the defense, but you kind of have a high-low with this flat with the running back running from the opposite side, the drag, and you also have the deep out, which depending on the situation and the context, you could keep it as that deep route if you want to have an option down the field, or if it's short yardage, you can even stem him down some because he's going to cut out a lot faster than X will take the drag across the field. Same with Y. So I'll keep him set down for now. As you can see, you have kind of three routes to choose from. This is going to look a lot different, obviously, if there's players on the field. If there's man, the running back could be wide open. If it's zone, same thing if the flats aren't covered. And if this is zone, it's probably best to just leave the route as a deep out rather than a short out with the corner route with RB. So you kind of have three options there to choose from with X and Y that are just going to open up. And A will take a lot of the attention away. Same with the motion pre-snap. Because even though players will catch on eventually, early on, when they see these motions, they're so important because that's going to drag their attention. They think that the motion is the thing to work. The motion becomes the thing to look out for. So when they see a player motion, that's where their attention is going to be. But meanwhile, you have three routes attacking the right side. All right. So the second variation of this is RB on a corner again, A on a streak, X on an in route, and also Y on a streak. This, in my opinion, is best against man just because A, or rather Y and X are the two routes you're going to want to look for because all the attention is going to be on those deep routes. You can hit him across the middle when he comes through with X, or that streak will open up because in man, one of the most common things they do is take the user off of the running back. So if he's on a streak here with Y and he's not manned up, the attention's not going to be on him. You're going to be able to get a huge chunk here because the safeties are biting on the two other streaks. But again, don't just limit yourself to only man coverage with this play because it can kill zone with all of these streaks happening at the same time. If the safeties are biting on A and B, the Y route with the running back is going to open up once he gets past the linebackers in zone. Yo, I just wanted to quickly mention, if you were tired of losing in Madden and college football, I have a Patreon community with full versions of all of my ebooks. I also include free weekly meta plays that I post all year long and much more. You can be as good as anyone you lose against if you just learn the schemes and styles the best players use, and I'm here to help you find those and get better with you. If that interests you and you'd want to support the channel, it'd mean a lot. Link in the description. Okay, next up we have whip double spot. This is my favorite short yardage play in this playbook. It's kind of good, almost stock as it is. You just really only have to make two adjustments because the short little comeback, the flat with the running back, and the quick little zig with RB. It's just really good routes to have. Okay, first you're going to want to post RB, stem him down twice, put A on a streak, and B on a corner. So this is a very common setup that most players will run. You have your streak, you have a deep out, and you also force him to make a quick read with the quick check down tier with X and Y. That's what separates this play from most because this little setup on the right side with the in route, the streak, and the out, it's just a common thing that people run in all of their playbooks to attack zone. But you also have these quick little reads on the left side, which is what makes this a little more unique. And there's just a lot he has to adjust to here. I really like this in zone because the zone routes do bite on X and Y, leaving RB to get open once he gets behind the linebackers. And the safety help's already being dragged with the streak on the right side. And the corner as well. So yeah, keep this stemmed up if it is a deep yard situation, but if you're going short yardage, again, just he's going to get behind these linebackers because they're biting on the short routes. And if he doesn't bite, again, just throw it to the short routes on the left side of the field with the flat and the quick little curl. Okay, now on the second setup for this, you're going to post RB, stem him down once. You're going to put X on a slot fade, A on a streak, and B on a return route. This is a similar format, and again, you want to mix this in to confuse them once you run the first variation because this is entirely different. Because X is streaking down the field, there's now more of an attack on the safeties with A and X, but also RB on the deeper post. But you also have the high-low here with B and RB because if he's focusing on all those deep routes, this B route will get open. This is the route you want to look out for the most, honestly. Again, the way you read this really depends on the coverage itself, but that return route will get open. That's the route you want to look out for. And if he's in cover one man, this will kill it. This literally will destroy cover one man, mainly with A and X, just because the safeties. This will kill cover one man primarily with X here, just because it will. If there's no safety over top, this route just murders one-on-one coverage. And same with the return route. That will also beat man. This route always does. Okay, next we have X cross. You want to put A on a post, RB on a streak, and X on a return route. This is kind of very similar to what we just saw, except now you have the return route coming from the left-hand side of the field. These plays are just so good because the return routes usually just bring all the attention because they kill most coverages. Zone or man, when he spins back around, it just kills it. So you have these deep routes here, and if it's coming from the left side, he's not going to see it coming because you originally had it from the right. But you also just have this concept here for zone coverage with RB and B, where you can just get behind or over top of the coverage. And also you have the route with the flat with the running back come from the other side, which gives you a high-low with that deep corner. And this is the route, and the Y route is really the one you want to watch here. It's just easy yards. Take those yards whenever they give it to you. And let's say he starts adjusting the zone adjustments, then B is going to get open. But if he doesn't start doing the zone adjustments and it's his user that's committing, then you have the middle of the field all to yourself with no user. Okay, now for short yardage situations in this play, all you have to do is put X on a post and RB on a drag route. This is just really good for short yardage because this A route right here will clog up the user and the man who's on them, or just that middle of the field in general, leaving you with Y and B kind of just for a quick little high-low. And again, if you are running this play frequently, all you have to do to mix this up is instead of just leaving RB on the drag route here, you could also streak the tight end, adding a third little adjustment. So that way you still have your high-low with B and Y, but you're kind of opening up the middle of the field a little more and the attention, especially of the safety, because again, if it's zone coverage, there's going to be one guy guarding both B and Y right here on the right side. All right, next we have motion Y corner under. So this looks just like the motion cross I showed at the beginning of the video, which is what makes this so lethal because he's running the complete opposite. He's still going to the left side of the field here, as you can see with B and Jeremiah Smith, but instead of motioning to the streak, which can break coverages, like for some reason, the defensive alignment every single year somehow breaks with these motions. Not all the time, players know how to adjust to it, but still, it can mess with your motions, especially in man. He'll get like the player motioning with the receiver following him will get stuck on the linebackers, and it just creates situations where there's no one on the guy motioning. So he's going to be aware of that when he's usering and have to adjust to it quickly. But instead of now him streaking down the field and him having to adjust to that, he's running a zig route across the middle. So the first setup with this is you're going to want to drag X, block A, streak RB, and then flat your running back. This is just a simple, really just safe setup just because the tight end's blocking. get that extra protection. But again, this left side of the field is getting attacked immediately because he's going to have to adjust to some of these routes. If he bites on X, then he's going to have to decide between B and Y, the running back and the player motioning across. Because if you look right here, they both break around the same time. Once he starts zigging back towards the middle with Jeremiah Smith, and then Bo Jackson's running his flat, they kind of get to the same spot of the field, and then they both break opposite ways, if you see right here. It's kind of happens at the same time right there. And he has to read one of those. The second setup for this, again, dragging X, flat Y, streak RB, and corner A. This is just a different variation of the last one. This just, again, helps mix it up a little bit. Anytime you have the streak in the corner, it just throws it off compared to the last setup where A was originally blocking. But now you kind of have a high-low with him in the drag. And you also have that same read with the zig and the flat in your running back. Okay, next is drive hatchback under. And to keep this simple, we're literally just dragging A and then putting B on a flat. This just honestly, it attacks all coverages just because A and Y are kind of running across each other, which just when man coverage bumps, players just get wide open on. But it's also kind of a flood in the middle of the field against zone. So this literally is something you can use against any single coverage. In zone, this little flat route with B can sometimes just get wide open if the attention's not over there and the zone drops aren't properly set to this. And if they are, you just have a flood in the middle of the field here with short little routes. This is perfect for short yardage. But again, with all of these routes right here in the middle, keep an eye on X with the corner route here. I say that because we have B on a short little flat. So if the zone adjustments or whatever he's running is guarding the small underneath routes, then this deep corner route here can get in between his outside coverage and the safety. It's being set up behind that. And the last setup we have for this, you're dragging A, posting RB, summing him down once, and then you're putting B on a flat route. Again, similar read, except now RB is cutting up a little quicker up the middle of the field, and you were just attacking between A, Y, or him over the top. And still keeping an eye on X. All right, next we have tight Y off. The reason I like this is just because this formation, you really don't have to make any adjustments, and it's really good for short yardage situations. It's really good for goal line. Kind of just the practical yards you need to get. To start off, we have tight end corner. This honestly is very good against man by itself. The routes on the field all kind of are set up to kill man, all 5 routes. The B route, especially if he's shading inside, the B route's going to get him. You also have a route on the left side that also can be covered if he's shading in or out. So if he shades outside the cover B and Y, you have X and you have RB coming in on a Texas route. So you have 3 outs and then 2 ins. And it just creates so many mismatches in man coverage. And I like it too because when you're in your hurry offense, you kind of don't have the most time to make all these adjustments quickly, especially depending on abilities and things like that. So these kind of plays, you aren't going to call them all the time, but it's just so nice to have something where you don't have to make any adjustments. And it is a man killer in its own. I also showed this cheat spot Y quick. This is a play that I always run on goal line. I've been running this play on goal line for years. Just because all you have to do is stem down Y. You can drag B or put him on a certain route depending on the coverage. That depends on the context. Like if it's man, you could put him on a zig. But the main route you want to look at here is your tight end. You can block RB too, by the way, depending on if you're getting blitz or not. You can do whatever you want with B and RB, but what you want to look at here is his left side. Your options are A, when he's motioning across. If no one follows him, he's going to be wide open. If people follow him, then you have 2 options here. This short little comeback route is really good on goal line and short yardage, especially if it's deep zones. And if for some reason he's in man coverage, the man follows the tight end perfectly, which doesn't always happen. Then you have Y going wide open. And that's why I like putting B on a zig if it is man, just like this, and stemming him down, because if someone follows A and then is there underneath a man for him, you have 2 outs that can get wide open. And when you run this play, let's say, I feel like opponents really zone in when you're converting 4th downs in goal line. They remember those plays more than 1st and 2nd down. He's going to zone in on the guy motioning across or the short little curl route here with X. As soon as that happens and he's in man coverage, which you see all the time with mid blitz, wait for B to get wide open right here by himself because he's going to be so focused on the left side of the field from earlier. It's just the perfect goal line play. And same with short yardage on 3rd and 4th. Okay, next we have motion mesh spot. I really like this on third and like super long. Let's say you took just like an absolutely horrible sack. It's third and long now and like really long, like in the 20s, maybe 30. Like you just really screwed up first and second down. And you really need a play to make it. What you're really thinking here is I'm going to get at least 15, 20 yards here so I can make fourth down, convertible. At that point, what I really like is because once third and long, he's going to be dropping everyone back. He's going to be looking for the deep route. I put B on a streak. I put A on a post. So you have a deep post and B going on a streak. And it can kind of leave RB wide open. So you have the motion going across. He might be looking for that. He's going to expect you to be desperate here on third and long. And when this happens, RB gets open once the players follow B and A. Like right here, again, the quarterback here has literally no throw power. But once you start getting into the modes with throw power and you can lead this to the outside while the safeties are dropping back and back and back against B on the streak and A going across the middle of the field, you can even streak A if you wanted to really commit that side of the field because really what you're just trying to set up here is RB. All right, next we have gun trips tight end flex. Obviously, this is one of the meta formations for the past who knows how long here. All right, so for the audibles, the RPO got to have the quick read, your inside zone, or any sort of run that you want to put in here just to have motion wide post, one of the best plays in the game, and also motion hitch and go. So just to start off real quickly, these RPOs are killer. You got to have these in your playbook, and honestly, this one is so simple. You have three options. If it's zone, you're going to want to kick it out to B, let your two receivers block for you, give it time to open up here. I waited too long there, of course, as I mentioned that. But give it a second to open up because if you throw it too soon, the ball sometimes the quarterback will rip it into the ground. He'll throw a duck. Just wait a second for B and for Y and X to get those blocks for him to get open. But if it's man and he's pressed up on your players, this probably isn't going to work depending on the alignment. If he has three defensive backs all pressed up against your receivers here, it won't work. And you're going to throw a pick if you throw it to B. Now, you can get some broken alignment where someone isn't lined up directly on B, they are pressing Y and X, but not B, then you can do it in man. But let's say you ran this, right? And you ran it against zone. Smart players are going to instantly switch to man when they see this formation just to be careful of that, especially like depending on the context. If you ran it for a third or fourth and short, he's going to be running press man the next time you come out in this formation to adjust to that. And you always want to have counters. So if that's the case, you want to throw it to A because the out route will get open on man. Hopefully your quarterback doesn't sink into the ground like that, but you always want options. Okay, next we have what I call the best play in the game, motion wide post. This is just, you can literally build an offense out of this play. The setups are really easy for it as well. So for the base setup, all you're doing is adjusting B on either a drag or slant if it's man or zone. If he's in man, put him on a slant. Then you have two routes kind of running right across each other with B and A. You have your quick check down with RB. And if he is following those two players, because one of these two will get open in man if it's just B or A, unless he completely adjusts his coverage. Either way, one of those two is going to get open. The user's going to have to follow. Maybe the man keeps up with the other receiver if there's no bump or any rub or anything like that when they cross each other. And if that's the case, you just check it down to Y. He has three routes to check in the middle of the field. And that's the thing with the flat route as well. If it's a man coverage, he's going to have to commit someone to RB, otherwise he's going to be wide open. And if it's zone, it's very similar as far as the reads. You can block the running back if you want in zone coverage, just in case, because you're not really worried about that. And you want the extra protection or you're getting blitzed. This is the setup. Again, you're dragging B, you got the A crosser, and then you got the Y route. The Y route is really the one that will get open the most. Obviously, check the quick little drag first. But that's the setup for zone. Now, there's also a third setup for if you want deep yards. And that is just simply putting RB on a streak. And keeping this motion here. And now you have two players going down the field. This is kind of like that other play I showed. But RB, once he gets behind the linebackers, wide open because of the safeties committing to A and B motioning across. And every single year, you will find and play against formations where if it's man coverage, this B route will get wide open if the corner on him gets stuck motioning over and doesn't follow. Next, we have motion hitch and go. This play is incredible because you literally really don't have to do anything. You can stem X down if you want, depending on the context and the yards. But I like this just because it's a quick snap play. You don't have to make any adjustments. These motions, when you're running against an offense that's running motions all the time, the defense always has to adjust. So it's nice having a quick snap play that can catch him off guard here. You have your Texas, you have your in route right here, and then you have the motion going across. It really is just like the perfect play by itself. And you primarily want to look at the running back because so like I showed with the setup with Y post where you're either streaking your running back or you're sending them to the flats to confuse them, you just keep this. It looks exactly the same, same formation, same motion, but now instead you have RB on a Texas route and you're quick snapping it. So like his adjustments aren't going to be there once you start mixing this in. He's going to have to make a guess kind of immediately because he's not going to have time to get all of his adjustments off. And it's just really good to catch him in this because some players, that's what separates, the good players and the very like the great players in this game is once this play, like let's say they're coming out in Y post and they're having success because you can kind of run so many different variations out of this one single play. Defenses will start to catch on to this and players will just stay in the same thing. But once you start mixing in things like this, where it's exactly the same exact motion, RB's doing the complete opposite of what he was earlier, and he's gonna have to check it somehow. So like if he's already like guarding either the slant with B, the post with A, or the zig with the Y, and then but you come out in this play, the Texas route he's not going to be like prepared for. Most users aren't good enough to switch that quickly. Now, the second setup for this play, you're going to put let me go back to it. So the second setup for this play, put B on a flat or RB on a flat rather, B on a slant, A on a streak, and keep the X and put him down a little bit, stem him down once or twice. So this is a man coverage killer. You have A streaking on the field with Y as well. So the safeties are going to be on those two. He's going to have to man up RB or user him. He's going to have to do something. And then you just have two routes across the middle. When you hit that first route, like let's say you're hitting the B route over and over, eventually the X route will open up. He's only going to be able to user one of them. And if you get the time in the pocket, X will get wide open down the field. And it's a good play to roll out on. Again, when you have him on this post and you can roll out, that's when you can get the huge yards because the safety is going to be going with the tight end. One more setup for motion hitch and go. You're going to stem him down again, but instead this time you're going to put A on a corner route and B on a zig. This is completely going to kill man coverage in every single way. And honestly, you could just streak him just if you wanted to really clear it out immediately. But again, this will kill man coverage. You have so many routes with B going outside, X coming in. You have also A going out, but then you have the Texas route with the middle here. And that's the thing with man coverage. To counter with man coverage, you're really shading and changing who you're using and covering against. Because once you start mixing in all these plays from the same formations, it's going to be hard for him to like start zoning out certain players to try guessing what you're running. You can only really do that when you know what your opponent's running on offense. And once you're motioning or mixing in rather all of these plays from this formation, it's going to be hard to adjust to. And having not only like just one or two routes, but four routes that can kill me in coverage, it's broken. Check for the zig first. For your first two reads here, just check for the zig on man and then check for the Texas route with the running back. All right, and the last play in this formation is going to be verticals. I love this play. Honestly, if you wanted to, you could take out hitch and go and just throw in verticals right here, or take out the RPO if that's not your sort of thing, or even the run. Like let's say you have the RPO in it and you run it out of the RPO. I wouldn't recommend that all the time just because I feel like they hand it off quicker in inside zone. But hey, if you don't run it a lot, throw verticals in. I love this because this is one of my favorite plays in Madden when you're running like a 1 minute offense. Like let's say you have like 40 seconds to get down the field. This play's so good because you make one adjustment and that's put RB on a Texas route. And if it's man coverage, this play is killer because he's watching the Texas. He's watching the B and going across the middle. And everything is so spaced out on this left side of the field that if it's man coverage and you can throw a comeback in, it's killer because there's two like deep routes there. This comeback route is wide open in man coverage. Also in tight Y, why I also like this is because it always has that motion with the tight end going across from the left to the right to the left rather. And what I like about this is you can mix in the runs. If you're always motioning when you pass and you're running like let's say the inside zone when you do run the ball, and then you mix in this cheat outside zone where you have that motion with your tight end, it's perfect for goal line situations. So let's say you ran this play right here and you threw it to the tight end because his user, or rather no one just followed A whatsoever, whether it was his user or not. A good player is going to immediately adjust to this, and I promise you If you get this for a touchdown and goal line, that user is following A every single time to watch out for that. He's going to know your reads on the left side of the field if you convert this multiple times. That's when you just want to mix in this run play right here because he's going to be taking a player from the middle of the field that's supposed to be shooting a gap on the running back. He's going to be taking him and following that tight end, and it's just an easy touchdown when you run this. If you can just cut this into the middle right here or like in between your tackle and guard, it's so easy on goal line. Like honestly, go back and forth between inside zone, this play, and then the motion run play on goal line. It's going to be killer. And then we also have cheat / wheel cross. I just like this because this is another play I like running on 3rd and longs just to get down the field. If it's zone coverage, you can kind of just like overload the zone coverage right here. All right, so for this, you put RB on a Texas route, and then you put Y on a slot fade. The idea here is if it's cover 3 or cover 2, especially, A motion across here, you have your 2 streaks. So A is going to bring the middle safety, Y is going to bring the left safety, and then X is going to get behind the curl flat right here in cover 3 and get wide open running down the field. This is so good for converting short yardage. Again, bad throw power here. Just assume you're going to be able to like zip that ball in there. And then if it's man coverage, just take the easy routes here with either RB with the Texas or B on the comeback. Again, this is just a really good play. It's easy adjustments and good to get some yards to make the 3rd and long a 4th and short. All right, guys, that is it for the Ohio State offense. Again, if you want to see the entire playbook and support the channel, check out the Patreon. More info on that in the description. But yeah, this is just an incredible offense. I wish Arthur Smith called plays like this in real life, but he doesn't. But in NCAA 27, this offense kills. So yeah, if you want to support the channel, check out that Patreon. I will be making more playbooks throughout the year. Let me know down below if you have any suggestions for playbooks or anything you do differently with this playbook already. I hope this ebook helps y'all get better. Let me know what you think of it. Thanks again for watching. I'll be posting videos all year long on how to get better at this game. So be sure to check out the channel if that interests you, and I'll see y'all in the next. Peace.